Hi, I think this is going to be in about another 3 parts, I think, because it's going to be quite long, I think, for one video. Fair use, I didn't mention that in the last video I did. This for educational purposes, to educate. Red herring, how people use irrelevant information as a distraction. A red herring is something that distracts people from an important issue or from an issue that is currently being discussed. Accordingly, the red herring fallacy is a logical fallacy where someone presents an irrelevant piece of information in an attempt to distract their opponent and the audience from the topic which is being discussed or to shift the discussion in a new direction. Because the use of red herrings is so prevalent, it's important to understand how a red herring works. In the following article, you will learn more about the concept of the red herring and about the use of the red herring fallacy in debates. Not that objective reality is up for debate, because it's not. Objective reality is objective reality. There's only one reality. There's only one objective reality. It's not up for debate. There's no false dichotomy. Then you will see. That don't make sense. Then you will see some examples of the use of red herrings in practice and learn how you can counter such uses effectively. There may be some things in here that are not my opinion. I'm just going to read them out, but it's not my opinion on some of these things. What is a red herring? A red herring is something that distracts people from an important issue or from an issue that is currently being discussed. A red herring usually appears either as a literary device, where it is used in order to intentionally mislead readers, or as a rhetoric technique, where it is used either intentionally or unintentionally in order to mislead listeners. An example of a red herring in literature can be found in the Sherlock Holmes novel titled The Hound of Baskerville by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, where the storyline of the escaped convict Barrymore, who in the end turns out to be innocent, is used as a red herring in order to distract readers from the real culprit in the story. The use of a red herring in this context demonstrates how, as a literary device, the red herring can be used in order to create suspense and make it more difficult for readers to predict the conclusion of the story. What is the red herring fallacy? The red herring fallacy is a logical fallacy where someone presents an irrelevant piece of information in an attempt to distract their opponent and the audience from the topic which is being discussed or to shift the discussion in a new direction. The fallacy is frequently used in arguments and debates. Like I said, not like debates. Objective reality is not up for debate. There is no debate. You can't debate objective reality, I'm afraid. You can only debate subjective opinion and ideas. And it's generally a sign that the individual who is using it doesn't want to continue the current line of discussion, especially if they use the red herring in response to a question. For example, the following exchange demonstrates how a red herring might be used in a conversation which occurs in a political context. Not that politics fuck politics. It's bullshit. There have been accusations of corruption made against your campaign office. What do you have to say about that? The reporter says. The politician says, I'd like to assure the public that my staff and I are always hard at work and that we are always looking out for their best interests. Here, the reporter raises a concern about political corruption. Well, we know that's prevalent anyway, political corruption. And asks the politician to comment on it. Instead of doing that, the politician replies using an empty statement that shifts the topic away from the discussion of corruption in their campaign. As such, the red herring fallacy is an informal logical fallacy, since it involves premises and conclusions which are irrelevant to the discussion at hand. More specifically, the red herring fallacy is categorized as a fallacy of relevance in general and as an irrelevant conclusion fallacy or an irrelevant argument fallacy in particular. This type of fallacy is often referred to as ignoratio elenchi, a term that stands for ignorance of refutation, since these arguments fail to address the issue in question. Colloquially, this fallacy is sometimes referred to simply as missing the point. Note, there are a number of other fallacies of relevance that are related to the red herring fallacy, all of which rely on flawed premises, since the content of the argument in which they appear is irrelevant to the discussion. The most notable fallacy of this type are the straw man fallacy. I'm going to do this straw man fallacy one after this, which occurs when someone distorts their opponent's argument in order to make it easier to attack, and the ad hominem fallacy, which occurs when someone attacks their opponent directly instead of addressing the argument that they are trying to make. Right, I'm going to do examples of red herrings in the next video. Okay, thank you. Bye.